Hey guys, Bharadwaj with Fonearena.com here, and I have the latest just announced Xolo Q1000S, a really thin smartphone at 6.9 millimeters. Other special things about the phone is that it has a 13 megapixel sensor. The 13 megapixel sensor is actually a 15.3 megapixel sensor because it can take 16 by 9 as well as 4 by 3 pictures with the same 13 megapixel resolution. It has a single LED flash accompanying it along with a secondary microphone for stereo audio in video recording. So it also records video, of course. As I said, it can record 1080p Full HD videos at 30 fps. So that's about it for the camera specifications. Let's launch the camera and see what the UI is like. As you know by now, Xolo is completely stock, and since it's 4.2 you can actually have lock screen widgets and of course the lock screen shortcut for launching the camera directly from the lock screen. Here's the camera of the Xolo Q1000S, and yes, it's the same one, the same MediaTek camera that you see on countless other MediaTek based devices on the market. Pretty normal UI, flash toggles and front facing camera toggle here. Or at the top right you have the thumbnail for the gallery, which can be accessed with the rightward swipe, which is usually the case, but Xolo has switched it to down perhaps. I don't know, the orientation is screwed up, so we can't really say. So yeah, that's another way to access the gallery. And then you have the shutter buttons for the camera stills and the video, and you can record video and capture stills at the same time. That's a thing. And then of course you have over on the left is the all important shortcut bar, where you can see all the quick access to the modes. This is the normal mode, this is the HDR mode, and then you have the face beautification mode, which beautifies the face of course. Then you have a normal panorama mode and the sweep panorama mode called the multi-angle. And then you have the automatic scene detection mode, which can detect the scene automatically and set the scene according to the conditions. And then you have the smile shot mode, which takes a photo if a person smiles. There's the best shot mode, which takes a burst and selects the best out of the lot. And then you have UV bracket mode, which can take with 3 different exposures, and you can later use them for merging or fusing them into HDR photo. So over here, going in depth into the settings, you can see that you have normal settings for the GPS exposure, white balance and whatnot. You also have a number of scenes, which is pretty similar to what you see on other devices, and of course point and shoot cameras, sunset, party, portrait and all that. Over here at the photo settings, you can see that you have the zero shutter delay option, which when turned on, continuous autofocus is turned on, and you can take a photo whenever you want. And then you have face detection, self timer, continuous shot, and the picture size is 13 megapixel. As I said earlier, this is a 15.3 megapixel sensor, and whichever aspect ratio you choose, full screen or anything, you can actually take in the 13 megapixel resolution, which is quite surprising because you cannot do that on most phones. It usually defaults to other resolutions when you switch to 16 by 9. And also you can notice that the maximum shots here is 99, which is pretty standard for all the phones. On the video mode, you also have electronic image stabilization, which is a software based stabilization for the video. You have the microphone, which can be turned on or off for recording, and of course you have the video quality, which is set at fine for the 1080p video capture, and high will be 720 and so on. You also have time-lapse interval for taking time-lapse pictures, which is quite nice. The Xolo Q1000S also has a front-facing camera, which is 5 megapixels. The 5 megapixel camera can take 5 megapixel stills, but can record only 640 by 480 videos. So that's a bummer, but we think the front-facing camera is suited for video calls, so that's pretty good. So that's the tour of the camera interface, but let's move on to the camera performance. We have taken a few daylight shots for you, so take a look at them right now. Well, as you noticed, the daylight performance is pretty poor. It's completely overprocessed and completely underexposed. The colors might be pretty normal and slightly boosted up, but we think the camera performance in daylight is completely screwed up because of the post processing. Everything looks smooth and the details are completely lost, which is really a surprise for us because this is a 13 megapixel camera and we expected Xolo to do better, because the Q1000S, at least the Q1000 with its 13 megapixel camera, was actually slightly better. We actually complained about the Q1000 camera too because of the camera performance, slightly softer in some parts, but otherwise it was actually quite good in details. But the 13 megapixel sensor on the Q1000S is completely disappointing, to say the least. If daylight performance is that disappointing, you can take a look at some of the macro performance here. Well, you might say that the macro performance is slightly better, and we tend to agree, yes, that macro performance is indeed better, but that's only due to the lack of details on a macro photo. As you can see, even now we are taking a slightly macro shot, which you can see that pretty nicely detailed, actually, not bad at all. So that's one thing about the Xolo Q1000S. Macro shots are pretty good, but daylight shots in a wide angle with lots of details, you'll get no details at all. Moving on to low light, the low light is even more worse than the daylight, expectedly, because of the small sensor packed in a tiny frame here. You can't really expect much from a camera at this price range, so let's discount the low light shots itself. And but the only good thing is that the flash is slightly better. The flash does not overexpose and it does well for the video as well as the photos. We have a sample to show you that the flash indeed works well. You can check out the low light samples here. And now moving on to video. The phone records 1080p video at 30 fps with stereo audio recording. Let's check out the video sample here. Well, as you can see from the video sample, the video was pretty over sharpened and underexposed. The metering was not spot on, it was actually brighter in real, but it completely underexposed the image, and we think that might be also another problem for video recording on the Xolo Q1000S. So overall, we think it's not really great. The Xolo Q1000S camera is just average. Nothing much to say here. We think Xolo needs to issue some kind of a software update, because we think the sensor is quite capable, but the software is screwing up in terms of post processing. So we really hope that Xolo sends out a camera software update which updates the camera and hopefully increases the quality of the photos. So that's it for the camera review of the Xolo Q1000S. Let us know what you think of the video. You can let us know in the comment section below. Do hit the like button if you like this video and enjoyed the camera samples, and do subscribe to our channel for more camera reviews like these. Thanks for watching.